Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. You are now in Tamika's Den, and I am Tamika, okay? And I'm doing this review on Sistas Season 4, Episode 1, A Brick Wall. So, you know Tyler Perry be working fast and putting these shows and scripts together fast. We just finished Season 3 like 2 weeks ago, and he was like, okay, y'all gonna get right back to it, okay? And now we on Season 4, Episode 1, A Brick Wall. If you're finding my channel for the first time, make sure you subscribe, you like the video, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and get into the episode. Let's discuss it, all right? So we started out with basically where we left off at when we last saw them, where, you know, Andy and Gary and Robin is all in the room together, and we find out that it's just a dream. Okay, thank God for that, because I was like, what the hell are y'all doing? Andy wakes up and she's screaming or whatever the case may be, and, you know, Robin is like, hey, what's going on? And then, you know, basically we kind of get similar to what she saw in her dream, where she's saying, you know, oh God, I got to get out of here. Why did you let me sleep? I got to get ready for work. And, you know, him saying, oh, he's the boss and all of that. And she's like, no, seriously, I got to go. And he was like, well, wait a minute, you know, let's talk for a minute. And he brings up the fact that, you know, every time he's been seeing her, it's been when she's drunk. They never really just chill and talk while she's sober. And she's basically saying, you know, oh, you know, he's like, wait a minute, are you shy or something? And she was like, yes, I am. I'm shy. And so he was like, well, I like shy and Andy. I like sober Andy. And she was like, well, you see, you know, sober Andy all the time when we at work. And he was like, yeah, but it's not the same Andy as now. And Robin actually has a point there when you think about it. Even when Andy messed with the guy back in Season 2, which I thought he was cute or whatever. I can't even remember his daggone name now. It was when she was mad at Gary, and it was when she was drunk. Every time she's been seeing Robin, you know, the time when she changed her mind and left, the time when they had, you know, the girl there, this time it's been when she's drunk. So definitely was a good point and a valid point by Robin. If you got to always drink for you to do something, then you might want to look into that. That might, you know, might be something a little bit more going on there. But, you know, he's basically saying he would like to spend time with her outside of that. And then we see him bring up the whole, you know, would you come to London thing with me that we have basically, you know, kept seeing them showing the preview or whatever the case may be. And so she was like, well, not this time, but next time, you know. And at first he was trying to say, you know, I'm not going to be asking more than once. I'm not that type of person that does that. And she was like, yeah, okay. So you say, and he was like, well, no more than 3 times. And she was basically like, that sounds better. But she had told him she wouldn't go with him this time, but she'll go with him the next time. And he was like, you know, as long as I know there's a next time, you know, okay, cool, I could work with that. And so basically he started, you know, being like, you sure you don't have no time? And still trying to see if he could get some from her. And she was like, you know, no, you know, I gotta go. And so then, you know, she gets up to go to the bathroom or whatever and start getting herself ready. And she's talking about, don't watch me, you know, walking away. And he's like, of course, you know, I am. And so then we get Preston and Danny and Frago, whatever his name is, still standing in the living room. And he's saying, what the hell is this? And she was like, I thought I told you, you know, not to be popping up here no more. And he was like, you know, I'm sorry, you know. I basically, you know, thought I was trying to surprise you. I thought you would be happy to see me. And so, you know, basically when he was saying, who is this? And she was introducing him to Frago, like, oh, this is my friend or whatever. He starts to put on this act as if he's just the gay friend that's there. I don't know what the hell all that was about. And then Preston is really like, what's going on? And she's basically like nothing and telling, you know, Frago to leave. And he's like, bye, y'all. And so when he leaves, you know, she's saying that it's been all this stuff that's been on her mind, that she's been holding back. You know, she don't know how to talk to him. And he was like, well, since when? You know, you never had a problem with talking to me before. What exactly have you been, you know, having this hard time about? But she's saying she have, and that, you know, since she's been trying to work on herself and reading and listening to podcasts and all this other different kind of stuff and working on herself, is things that she's come to the realization about, and she needs to tell him. So he's like, okay, I'm listening. Go ahead, tell me. And like, I get it on one hand. It was nothing that Danny was saying that wasn't true or that shouldn't be valid with her feelings. But where I get confused at, and where I'm sure Preston is getting confused and pissed off at, because she starts out by saying that they basically started out on the wrong foot, you know. And I can agree with that, because if you remember how they started out, you know, first of all, she was already leery, I guess, with him supposed to be a white guy or whatever. And then you had, you know, his family being racist, the brothers threatening her, which she does bring up. And then him getting beat up for the fact that he, you know, basically, I guess, is with her. And that's how she originally asked him to stay there, or said it was okay for him to stay there, because of the whole situation that went down. So that isn't your typical way that you would start off, you know, with anything or whatever the case may be. And then when he was there, it was like, you know, at first she was happy and liking it and liking the fact that he was cooking for her and doing all these different things. Then that became an issue. But where I'm confused at is I can remember y'all having the conversation as far as everything that went down with the brothers. He apologized for it. You act like you was moving past it or whatever the case may be. And then with the sister, I can remember her being upset. I can remember her speaking on it and him apologizing for that and saying he didn't think about it in that way. When she brings up the thing about him having her tied down in the bed, that basically I can remember them having a conversation about. So to me, she was just bringing up a bunch of old stuff that they already discussed. So you saying that you was about to tell him about things that you never spoke about before, or you didn't know how to say, or you didn't want to say it because you didn't want to hurt his feelings. But in all actuality, most of these things was issues that y'all already talked about before, that you made it seem like you moved past. I mean, is he supposed to be a mind reader? And if you remember when they started the whole relationship thing, like I said, and then she did get to that point where she was working overtime, she didn't want to go home, all this stuff. We got a little hint and a little backstory from her where they were saying, you know, you have a tendency to do this and you usually, you know, go for a certain type of guy. And then when it gets to a certain point, you leave because you've been used to being, you know, hurt and treated in whatever different ways. And she was like, yeah, I do kind of do that sometimes or whatever. And they was already trying to tell her to figure it out with Preston. So then when you went home, you finally came out and told him, and he was like, well, why the hell wasn't you telling me this all this time? And y'all decided that y'all was going to live separately, which is how he went and ended up with the so-called cousin, okay? And y'all was going to date and just see each other. And then when he didn't know what was what, that's when he showed up at the house and basically was on some, oh, aren't we just doing the effing thing? Like, take off your clothes so we could go ahead and do that. And that's when she wanted to say, you know, we don't really talk. And we don't know if we actually have any similarities, if we have anything in common, how much we have in common. And it was like, okay, so you want to talk? And they did the whole talking thing. So at this point, I'm honestly just as confused as Preston is on what exactly Danny wants. Yes, what you said is valid. Yes, your feelings are valid. But if you're 1 minute in, 1 minute out, you know, you're afraid to talk to the person, to tell them what's going on your mind. To a certain degree, it's giving me a little bit of Karen. Just like Karen wasn't coming out and saying straight things and asking straight answers from the beginning with Zach. But later you want to keep like peekaboo, you know, I don't know, back and forth instead of just laying it all out on the table, okay? It's giving me those same type of vibes. And then, like I said, you still been holding on to this, but the other person has moved on because they don't know that you're still holding on to it. And then when it all comes out, it's like it's coming out like a tornado because it's all these still unresolved issues. And it just doesn't look right. And on top of that, it's always been that when he comes, he's catching you in something. You haven't caught him in nothing yet, but yet you're mad that he showed up to the house. But at the same time, you was just mad because he wasn't answering none of the calls that you, and he didn't call or text or, as you say, send a damn message through birds or whatever else. And you was worried about him maybe sleeping with his cousin that's not his cousin and being jealous. But when he does show up, you mad that he showed up too. So I'm a little confused myself. Like, girl, at least get on one line. You know, say what you got to say, mean what you got to say, stand in it, be firm in it, and stick to it. But the back and forth, in and out, that's not really, you know what I'm saying, cool for anybody on either side. And so at this point, Preston goes, oh, I get it, you know. What it is that you just basically don't want me. I'm standing in your way, and I'm going to move out your way and let you do you, and don't call me anymore. And she's like, well, out of everything that I said, that's all you got out of it. And he's basically like, yeah. And she's like, oh, so you just don't regard, my feelings at all. Because he was like, this is bullshit. And she was like, oh, so my feelings is bullshit. And he was like, no, your feelings is not bullshit. This game that you playing is bullshit. And then they both basically saying bullshit to each other, and he leave. And, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, Danny, if you can't be with him, you can't be comfortable with him. If these things is really, still bothering you, and you don't feel that he respects you, and you don't feel that, he takes your feelings into considerations and different things of that nature, then that's definitely not the person that you should be with. I like them two together. I wish that they would be together. I thought it was going in a good direction, to be honest. When it all started turning, the opposite way, it was like that kind of threw me off, and I felt like if she was just trying to, self-sabotage. But now you're saying that you was feeling all these feelings, and if you are feeling all these feelings, and if you are uncomfortable in your own home, and all of that different kind of stuff like that, then you definitely don't need to be with this person. And then you're saying like, oh, well, you'll say that you're going to do this and that, but then you're still going to come back and do it in a different way. So if it's not trust there, and you don't really feel like you could lay it all out, on the table for him, and you feel like these things is going to be in the way, then yeah, Danny, it's probably best that y'all go on, and at least you finding that out, I guess, as early as you could find it out for the amount of time that you let, things linger on. Then, it keep continuing and turning into something worse down, at the end of the line. That's all I can really say as far as that, because I'm not going to say that her feelings aren't valid. I'm not going to say she don't have the right to say how she feels. You should. But I feel like you should have said it sooner. And that if those situations really bothered you like that, because that was kind of a while back that all of that part happened, at least, then you should have just let it go. Then she was bringing up, which we even seen them talk about this in that Sistas after show. She was like, he's just showing up. Y'all might think it's sweet, but isn't that a little creepy? A guy sitting in your house and he got flowers and steak, and the landlord done let him in twice. But I would have gotten my landlords behind too. But then see, Danny, you didn't have a problem with it no more, because he was like, oh yeah, I'll pay the rent, and I gave the landlord such and such. Because remember, it would be times you would be avoiding the landlord because you owed them money. So it was on one hand, like, as long as he was going to be footing some bills and he was going to be cooking some food, you was cool with it. So again, you kind of playing both sides, sis, and I need you to pick one and stick to it, because that's where my confusion comes in at with you. But other than that, I still love you, Danny. And like I said, you get to feel how you feel, but I just feel like you could have laid all that out from the beginning. We ain't got time to be playing games. We too old for that. So nonetheless, we didn't get Andy, and she's with a bunch of flowers in the office. She's like, her and Karen is catching, her and Fatima rather is catching up. And, Fatima comes in with her all white, and they giving compliments, and she's saying how she spent time, with Robin, and she's like, you got to tell me everything. And she notices that Fatima has like this spot on her, on her sleeve. And so she's asking, like, what's that, And Fatima talking about I had fruit juice and I must have spilled it. Like, girl, no, damn well that's some of damn hate and blood. There ain't no damn fruit juice. And she was like, I'm going to get it out later. And so, she's trying to catch up on the tea with Andy with Robin. And she was like, I'll tell you about it later, whatever the case may be. But right now we got to get to work. And then she like, just silly girl when Fatima walks out. So then we get Karen coming into her shop, and I'm like, oh, they finally got a damn customer. Let me find out. And so Pam is telling her, like, listen, this chick been waiting here. I don't know who she is, but Pam be picking up on everything. So she like, no, you don't go over to her. You have her come over here to you. She's been waiting and says she needs to see you. So Karen is like, can I help you? And she's like, does Zachary tell her live with you? Like, she don't say hello. She don't introduce herself, nothing. Talking about we trying to find him. And then Karen is like, we for what? And she was like, it's a legal matter, ma'am. And she was like, is he some kind of into trouble? Oh, I can't discuss it, ma'am. Just can you tell me where he is? And she's like, no, I cannot. So for once, Karen was actually acting smart because no, ma'am, we don't give out info and we don't even know who the hell you are. And then Karen is saying, we don't live together. You sure about that? Like, well, yeah, I'm sure. And she's like, oh, well, when's the last time you seen him? I don't remember. You know, if you can't tell me what this is about, then I can't answer none of your questions. I have nothing else to say to you. So the lady's like, okay, you know, no problem if you feel that way. And she was like, yep, I do. And so she's like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and see myself out. And Karen is like, you do that or whatever. So like I said, for once, she was on point, at least with that part. And so she was about to pick up the phone to call Zach. And Pam is telling her, like, girl, what the hell are you doing? She was like, you know, no, you can't do that. Hang that damn phone up. They could be, you know, basically, what you calling it? You know, what the hell is the word? I done forgot the word. Tracking him, y'all. Okay. And she was like, don't call him, you know, from there, whatever the case may be. And then, you know, she's like, okay, well, then she gonna have to go ahead and speak to him in person. And she was like, girl, you know, they may follow you there, you know. And then she got the nerve to be talking about, well, you have a customer that's coming in. What the hell am I supposed to tell them if you leaving? And Cameron gonna talk about some, you know, put it on hold or whatever the case may be, push it back. And I'm like, Karen, girl, you don't be getting customers like that. Ain't you got one foot out the door? You need to be doing hair, girl. You need any damn money you could get, but okay. And so Pam got the nerve to be talking mess after she leave, talking about some, oh, well, oh, Lord, this place is messy. It got a lot going on. And there's another worker that's there with Pam, too. So she's turning around and saying to him, like, man, there's a bunch of stuff going on, but don't ask me about it, okay? I know how nosy you are, nosy people. I said, Pam, you of all people got the nerve to call somebody nosy, girl? That had me cracking up, like the pot calling the, you know, kettle black all the way there. And so, you know, when Fatima and Andy was talking, I forgot to mention that she also, you know, was like, oh, did you meet with the girls last night? How was your night? Did you see them? She asked her, did she see Karen? And she tells her, yeah, she got with the girls. And yes, she saw Karen. And she was like, oh, did she say anything? She was like, actually, she was telling me, you know, to call you and invite you. And she was like, but you didn't. And she was like, hell no, I didn't. I ain't stupid. So she was like, did she say anything else? And she was like, anything else? Like what? And of course, we know that, you know, Fatima was basically fishing to see if she told them about the pregnancy. I guess she don't want to end up mentioning it first. And Karen haven't, you know, told them about it yet. So I thought that that was interesting or whatever the case may be. And so then we had, you know, Sabrina going in to check on Dan Maurice's crazy self. And I don't know. I thought they had already moved past the whole situation with her bringing up the father and all of that kind of stuff. But apparently he's supposed to have still a little bit of attitude behind it. And he's basically working doing this audit. So he don't really want to talk to her. He like, girl, I'm good. Okay, bye. Like, go do your work and do what you got to do and get out my damn face. And so he goes to continue doing his work. And of course, he ends up getting a collect call. And it's from the damn jail, you know, basically telling him he's going to be charged if he accepts it. And then he go ahead and accepts it. But he got the nerve to be talking about, who's this? I said, Maurice, how many people is calling you from jail, boo? Like, really, how many calls are you getting from the jail? Let me know, okay? And so then Q was telling him, you know, it's him. And he's like, who? Still playing stupid. And then he tells him, like, you know, the DA has been, you know, basically trying to strike a deal with him, that there's a possibility he could get a deal and he could get out, but he ain't no snitch. And so Maurice was like, oh, now you worried about, you know, having a snitch, all of a sudden you having a code and morals or whatever. And he was like, oh, she must be good looking. And then Q gonna talk about, yeah, you know, not for nothing, she is bad. And so, you know, of course, Maurice makes a face and looking at the phone when he said that to him or whatever the case may be. And he had the nerve to basically start telling Maurice, like, well, if they do let me out, you know, would I be able to come there and stay with you? And Maurice is like, what? What are you talking about? Like, are you high right now? Why would I let you come stay with me after you rob from me or whatever the case may be? And he's like, oh, I'll do a program. I'll do whatever I need to do. I'm basically trying to beat him in the head. And then Maurice was just like, no, like, okay, you know, bye. And when Maurice hangs up the phone, he was like, yo, he think I'm stupid. Everybody thinks I'm stupid, don't they? So I'm like, yeah, sometimes they do, Maurice. Sometimes they do. Then you had Danny calling Sabrina to basically vent about what happened with Preston. You know, she mentions that El Fugo was there, and after he left, they had gotten to it. So, of course, Sabrina's like, oh, he was there. How was that? And she was like, I don't want to talk about him. He's a stripper, you know. And then she's like, okay, all right, I'm sorry. So what exactly was, you know, Preston mad about? And then she was like, well, he was mad as hell because he thinks that I'm supposed to think that he's perfect. And Sabrina says to him, well, he's pretty damn close. And she was like, come on now, that's so basic. And then Sabrina apologizes to her. And she was like, he told me never to call him again. And she's basically like, girl, that's going to last about 2 seconds. And she was like, no, that's going to last never. I'm like, whatever, Danny, we shall see. And so she was like, he doesn't understand me. And she was like, but anyway, I got to get to work and you do too. And so she was like, just go and call your panty man. And then Sabrina's like, as a matter of fact, he just walked in. And they both basically say bye. And so, of course, Calvin is there. And apparently Sabrina had hit him up for him to come talk to Maurice. Okay. And he's like, well, what exactly do you want me to talk to him about what happened? And she basically lets him know that is about his father and her bringing up his father. And he's like, you know, I mentioned his father, whatever. And he talking about, oh, wow. And she was like, I think I really hurt his feelings. And so he was like, well, you know, he never talks about his father. And then, you know, she says to him, do you know what happened? And he said, yeah. And I found that interesting. Like, you know, Maurice and Calvin is not that close that I know of. I know that they, you know, do live together and they have discussed things, and a lot of things, if anything, he be finding out about, you know, Maurice be finding things out about Calvin from Sabrina behind because she be running her mouth. But I never really known them to sit down and discuss, you know, those type of things. And so for him to feel that comfortable where he confided in Calvin about that, whereas, you know, Cameron found out the information from his mother, I just thought that that was kind of interesting. And so nonetheless, he says he will go in and talk to him. And he basically was like, are they on for dinner? That he was going to bring dinner to her house. And, you know, she was basically saying, yeah, about that. And so then we had, you know, them showing Danny at work at the airport again. And we had El Fugo coming up to her. And at this point, he's coming with a whole nother attitude. He talking about so you was playing games with me, because he's asking her about going on a date. You know, of course, Danny, she's giving her different jokes. And then he going to say, I could have any woman that I want. And, you know, like, how dare you not want me type of thing. And Danny was like, oh, there he is. And he was like, no, you know, it's not like that. But you don't got to be so damn rude. And I was like, really, Alfredo? Like, that was funky. And so she just asked him, like, are you done? And he was like, yeah. He was like, I'm done for real. And, you know, she's like, okay. And she was like, go be in your feelings or whatever. I don't know. I thought that scene was kind of weird. But right behind him comes some other guy that's like, oh, damn, he told you. And he's trying to say his different little words. And Danny's just like, may I help you? He like, no, I'm good. And she's like, okay, well, why are you standing around here? Like, you just like sit in the airports. And he was like, well, actually, you know, my flight had got postponed. And so she's like, really? Well, not over here, not for this gate. You know, basically he has said it was, his flight was delayed, I should say. And so he was like, well, I wanted to come over here. And she was like, oh, you wanted to come over here and see me when you can go to your gate? And so he was like, is that any way to talk to a customer? And she was like, well, I haven't seen your ticket. I don't know that you're a customer. So then he gave her the ticket and she's looking it up. And I guess she sees that, you know, he is a customer, whatever the case may be. And she's like, all right, yeah. You know, I'm seeing your ticket or whatever the case may be. And you're checked in at the gate. And she's like, okay. And he was like, thank you. She was like, you're welcome. And so then he goes back and sit down. But he's still trying to throw words and, you know, acting like he flirting with her. And she just seems to be annoyed. Everything that he say, she's like, yeah, no, thank you. My name is uninterested. Like, you know what I'm saying? Keep it moving. Because he was saying that he's Logan. And she's like, you know, tell it to somebody that cares, because it sure as hell ain't me over here. So I'm like, Danny is just, you know, dismissing everybody today, I guess. And so, what happened next? I'm sorry, y'all. I got a little stuck with my notes here. And so, you know, when Calvin had went in the office to see Maurice. He basically ends up kicking Calvin out and telling him to leave him the F alone. He's over it, okay? And so when Calvin comes back out there, he tells Sabrina, like, nah, he wasn't trying to hear nothing. He was like, instead of him bringing dinner over, why don't they go out for dinner, you know? And then she says, you know, that sounds like, you know, be cool or whatever the case may be, where he gonna take her. And he tells her the spot, and she basically gets excited. And he's like, yeah, I thought, you know, that you would like that or whatever the case may be. And in the meantime, when, you know, Danny is at the airport, she had looked in the computer and told the guy, like, oh, yeah, your flight got delayed again. But then she goes over to her supervisor, some guy, Howard, and she's like, hey, Howard, she's like, yo, we need, you know, to call the police or whatever the case may be, the airport police. She was like, you know, we get told different signs to look for, and when you see something, say something. And she was like, I think we have a trafficker over there. So Howard is saying he gonna keep his eye on him, and she's like, man, you ain't got no good eyes, you can't see nothing, and all this other stuff. You know, Danny gotta make everything a damn joke. And she was like, come on, I need you, you know what I'm saying, to help me out here. And he was like, I'm going on break. And she was like, you see, this is, you ain't gonna do nothing, you don't report shit, you know, and whatever. And she has an attitude. So I don't know whether she right about the guy or what she saw on the computer that made her feel that way. But you know, now she's basically looking at him, and he's like still trying to talk to her, talking about back so soon. And she's like, nope, basically picks up the phone like she's making a call. And then he's like, okay. And you know, he's just looking. So I don't know what they about to have him come in doing, you know, because he being real extra. So it got to be some type of importance to him. Then you had Karen showing up, you know, to this house where Zach is at. And of course, he's like, oh, we're going to start doing this now. And he's being a little, you know, irritable and edgy because he ain't expecting her behind to be there. And so she comes back at him like, yes, we are going to be doing this now. And she just asked, like, is there anything that you've done that you could get into trouble? Because we got somebody coming snooping around my shop asking questions, you know, saying that this is legal. Of course, he's kind of like, you know, why the hell you want to know? Why are you coming here asking questions? And she's like, you know, basically saying what we kept seeing from the preview, where it's like, listen, I'm pregnant, and if I'm going to be having a baby, I don't want to be having a baby with somebody that's going to jail. And it's like, Karen, girl, whatever. Listen, if you having this baby, you having this baby because you want to have this baby. But I guess I get it, whatever. And so she's telling him how the lady was asking where she could find him. You know, he's asking what did the lady look like. And she was like, well, like the damn law, I don't know. And she was like, still asking him, like, did you do anything illegal? Are you sure? You know, of course, they got to ask, are you sure 50,000 times? And then he's like, no, I'm telling you, all of this is legal. I'm getting this the legal way. You know, this is my house that I'm doing this. And he was like, you wilding with this energy, and I need you to take it somewhere else. And, you know, she's still talking about telling me the truth. And he was like, I bought all of this with my money. And so she was like, okay, well, since you sure, you know, what should I tell her if she comes back? He's like, well, give her my number so that she could contact me and I could find out what the hell all this is about. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, just give her the number. And so she was like, okay, if you sure, then, you know, I'll go ahead and do that. And he was like, yes, I'm sure. So then she gonna talk about, oh, well, you not gonna show me the house? And he's like, well, no, not now, because you know, they doing work. They putting up plasters, all kind of nails and glasses. And I don't think it's safe for you and the baby being with you pregnant and it's all dusty and stuff like that. And she's like, But my thing is, Karen, Karen, do you really want to see the house, sis? Do you need to see the house now? Do you? Weren't you coming here because it was an emergency and you needed to tell Zach about it? Is this really the time while you seeing them working on the house to want to see the house? And by the way, they moving on this house damn fast, right? It looked like they getting it together quick, fast, and in a hurry, because it wasn't looking nowhere near like that. But really, this is the time you want to see it? Oh, okay. So anyway, we basically have Zach, you know, telling her, like, I'm trying to look out for you. And she was like, yeah, Zach, whatever. You ain't looking out for shit. And then he's like, you know what? Fine. Come on. Bring your pregnant ass in. Come on in. Jump over shit. Come on. Come on. You want to come? Come. And then she's like, no, it don't make no difference. You probably lying anyway. And he's like, whatever, Karen. So then he's like, well, where's your car at? Oh, I parked my dumb ass a couple blocks down because I was worried about, them following me here. And I was trying to protect you. I don't know what for. And he's like, Karen, my bad. Come on. And he was like, is that important for you to see the house? And of course, because it's Karen, yes, Zach, it's that damn important. And he was like, damn, this is just a freaking, miserable, evil ass woman. And I'm just like, yeah, Zach. Like, yeah. And so then he's calling Fatima, leaving her a message like, Fatima, as soon as you get this message, hit me back. I need to talk to you, or whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, what can you do? And by the way, side note, this was the first time that the bank and the salon had customers. Okay, y'all? He been listening. He made sure that they had a few customers up in there for once. And so then we had Gary showing up to Andy's office asking about her. He want to see her. Fatima's telling him she's busy. She's in a meeting, and he's like, come on, y'all playing games. He's like, well, I'll wait out here. She was like, okay, but you're going to be waiting until tomorrow. And she's like, first she said she wasn't there. He was like, yes, she is. Then he tried to go back there, and he was like, you can't go back there. He was like, watch me. She was like, listen, because one of the other receptionists was like, you want me to call security? She was like, no, you don't have to. I'm going to handle this. She was like, listen, I'm not her. She was like, I will beat your ass and make you catch a case. She was like, don't mess with me. You want me to show off for these white people in here? I swear I love Fatima. And so he was like, well, then let me tell you. No, I don't want you to talk to me. I actually don't like you. And he was like, I know, but come on, please, can I just talk to you? She was like, do you see those stairs? And then he's like, yeah, what? He was like, you gonna throw me down them? She was like, no, I'm gonna throw myself down them and then say you did it. I was like, girl, Fatima. She was like, hence your case. And so basically he's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and start walking away. And she was like, good, you're not as stupid, you're not completely stupid, or whatever the case may be. I was like, Lord, Fatima, boy, you are something, girl. And so then we have Fatima and, Andy basically picking back up off their conversation. And she's talking about he's amazing, that's big and huge and all this stuff. She was like, girl, I'm so happy for you. I just want you to take it slow, though. Don't rush into anything. And Andy's telling her, don't be happy for me yet. And she was like, why not? And she was like, I got to tell you something. So, of course, she tells her about the fact that he's the boss. Fatima's like, what? And she was like, yeah, he owns the company. And she was like, well, when the hell did this happen? And she basically was like, apparently he puts the older white men in the front as a front, and he bought the company. Then he bought our division. She tells him the whole thing about him having the damn airplane. And she was like, so, wait, he got money like that? And that's when she was like, yeah, he got a private jet. She like, wait, he got big money? Oh, shit. She was like, he got real money. Big bank. She was like, oh, this is good. So, she was like, I don't know about all of that, but she was like, listen, just take your time. That's the only advice I'm going to give you. Take your time. Please do. And she was like, I am. And then she going to say to, Fatima was just still saying don't rush. So Karen talking about something like, you rushed, like what you rushed with Zach? And she was like, no, I didn't rush with Zach. And she was like, come on, I can see it all over you. I can see it all over you. You got that glow, honey, And then she was like, look, when it works, it works. And, they both just the smiling and cheesing or whatever. And so she was like, I am happy with him. I'm not gonna lie. Like the Zach that y'all know, or, that old Zach, that's not the Zach that I'll be getting. This Zach is happy, And she basically was like, like, I'm just feeling it. And so she was like, well, Karen would feel funny to hear that. And she was like, Lord, don't say her name. Her ass be done popped up again. And so in the mix of them having this conversation, we seeing people running, through the side from through Andy's window. And then another one of the coworkers come in and they like, what's going on? And she talking about Hayden. Hayden's been found dead. He's in the parking lot. And I'm like, what? Like, how the hell is he dead? Like, I don't think he's dead. I think they just saying that. But basically, they like, what the hell? And that's how the episode goes off. Because I could swear one of the previews we see for this coming up season, Hayden is standing in the hallway, beat up on crutches or something like that. And that's when he was saying something about Zach doing something to him. So I'm wondering if Zach is going to end up going to jail for something pertaining to Hayden when we're all you know, first thinking that it was going to be something pertaining to the whole money situation or whatever the case may be with, you know, the Lord looking for him. I don't know, but I guess we shall see where this is all going. Like, did Fatima done have these guys be hating the damn down? I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I kind of wanted Hayden dead, though. I wanted them to run him over with a damn bus, to be honest, but I don't want it to backfire on Fatima or Zach. So anyway, y'all, what did y'all think about this first episode? You know, what y'all think is going on with this Hayden situation? I don't know, y'all. Just put it all in the comments. Let me know. Let's talk and discuss, and make sure you like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe, please. Okay, I appreciate it. Till next time, toodaloo.